Episode 4. How not to feel resentment and loneliness after a break with adult children. If you're here today, it probably means you've experienced something deeply painful. The emotional distance or complete break with a son or daughter you once held close to your heart. A distance that wasn't supposed to happen. A silence that feels heavier than words ever could. People often say, they're adults now. Let them live their life. But those words ignore the truth. You didn't stop being a parent just because they stopped being a child. And when the calls stop, when the visits don't happen, when birthdays are forgotten, or when communication becomes cold, sharp, or non-existent, a very natural human reaction appears. Hurt. Hurt that turns into resentment. Hurt that turns into loneliness. Hurt that sometimes turns inward into guilt. Today, we're not going to deny those feelings. We're going to understand them and gently loosen their grip. 1. Why resentment appears and why it doesn't make you a bad person. Let's begin with the truth. Resentment often grows where love once lived openly. You resent because you care. You resent because you gave. You resent because you expected, reasonably, that love would come back to you in some form. When that expectation is broken, the heart doesn't become empty. It becomes tight, constricted, caught between longing and anger. Carl Jung said something very powerful. Where love rules, there is no will to power. Where power dominates, love is lacking. In the parent-child dynamic, resentment often appears when love cannot flow naturally anymore, when one person holds the power to give or withhold connection, and the other stands defenseless before that choice. If you feel resentment, it does not mean you are bitter. It means a bond you valued has been interrupted, and your heart is trying to make sense of the fracture. You are not wrong for feeling this. You are human. 2. Loneliness after a break. Why it hits harder than other forms of loneliness. Loneliness after losing connection with an adult child is not the same as regular loneliness. It has layers, the loneliness of missing the person, the loneliness of losing the future you imagined with them, the loneliness of silence that offers no answers, and the loneliness of shame. What will people think? A woman named Eleanor once said, "I can handle being alone. I just can't handle being abandoned by the person I raised." This form of loneliness isn't emptiness, it's grief. Grief for a relationship that still exists inside you but not out in the world. And grief always needs time, compassion, and witness, even if the witness is just your own gentle awareness. 3. The turning point. Accepting what you cannot change. This is not about surrendering. It's about releasing the struggle that drains you. Jung taught that suffering becomes unbearable only when we resist it, when we soften into acceptance, not approval, not agreement, but acceptance. The suffering loses its sharpness. Acceptance sounds like this: I cannot control their choices. I cannot force them to see me clearly. I cannot rewrite the past, but I can choose how I live today. I can choose how I speak to myself. I can choose what I carry forward. That shift doesn't change the child, but it changes you. It gives you back your dignity, your breathing space, your sense of self. Acceptance is not the end of healing. It is the start. 4. How to soften resentment without pretending everything is fine. Resentment cannot be healed by denial. It heals through acknowledgement, meaning, and self-restoration. Let's walk through the steps. Step 1. Name the hurt clearly. I am hurt because I didn't receive the love and respect I hoped for. When you name the pain, you stop fighting it. Step 2. Separate yourself from their choices. Their silence is about them, not about your worth. Their coldness is about their emotional capacity, not your value. Step 3. Release the invisible contract. Many parents hold an unspoken expectation. I gave you love. You'll give me love in return. It's natural. It's fair, but it's not guaranteed. Releasing this invisible contract helps your heart breathe again. Step 4. Shift the focus back to your life. Resentment shrinks when your world expands again with hobbies, friendships, interests, new routines, or simply new quiet moments that belong only to you. Resentment is fed by absence. It dissolves in presence, your presence in your own life. 5. How to soften loneliness. Without waiting for your child to return, loneliness after a break with a child hurts because the world does not acknowledge it. But I acknowledge it. And many people listening feel the same loneliness you do. Here is how we soften it. Reclaim your identity beyond parent. You are still a parent, yes, but you are also a friend, a partner, a thinker, a creator, a human being with depth and wisdom accumulated over decades. Loneliness lifts when identity expands. Build small circles of connection. It doesn't have to be big. One neighbor, one friend, one hobby group, one online community where people understand your situation. Humans were not meant to grieve alone. Create daily rituals of meaning. A morning walk, a cup of tea in silence, a journal entry, lighting a candle. Something that reminds you, I am still here, my life is still mine. Allow yourself to mourn. Loneliness shrinks when grief is allowed to speak. Pretending nothing is wrong only deepens the wound. Now, a few real-life stories to help you feel less alone. A story where the mother stopped waiting. A woman named Grace waited years for her daughter to return to the relationship. One day she said, I'm done waiting. I'm not cutting her out, but I'm not freezing my life anymore. She joined a choir, started traveling, and slowly her loneliness softened. Not because her daughter returned, but because she returned to herself. A story where the father forgave for his own peace. A man named Robert forgave his adult son not because the son apologized, but because Robert was tired of carrying the weight. He said, forgiveness is not a gift I give him, it's a gift I give myself. Story about the grandmother who built new family Helen, whose children barely visited, built a chosen family from neighbors, book clubs, and 2 women she met at church. She said, I realized family is not only blood, it's love that shows up. You deserve love that shows up, not love that keeps you waiting. 7. What Jung teaches us about letting go. Carl Jung believed that relationships which cannot transform must be released, not abandoned, not erased, but released from expectation. He wrote that freedom begins when we stop forcing the other to be who we need them to be. Letting go is not losing your child. Letting go means losing the grip of the suffering that surrounds them. It means saying, I carry love, not pain. I carry hope, not expectation. I carry myself no matter who stays or leaves. This is the foundation of emotional freedom. In the next episode, we'll talk about how to rebuild your confidence and sense of self after years of feeling unappreciated, and how to create a life that feels meaningful again. If you want to receive notifications about new episodes, subscribe and tap the bell so you don't miss what's coming next.